So we got here by a discussion that you and I had about cybersecurity. And honestly, I didn't see cybersecurity as a core value. I think I viewed it like most people do. That's an IT function. And after our conversation about that, I realized that, okay, this is something that employees and the organization need to have as a psychological contract with their people, which leads it towards the core value thought that we had. And because it's not just an IT function, it's an everybody function.
Exactly. And to kind of take a step back from the conversation stemmed from an exercise that you participated in that I was leading.
Yes.
Right? So we had a tabletop exercise of what an organization might go through when they experience a breach, right? So we had a kind of pseudo scenario going on and walking different people who have different roles in their organizations, all in a leadership role. Everybody kind of starting to see like, oh, these are the types of activities we might encounter. And then after that exercise, we started to talk a little bit about how I focus on introducing cybersecurity into the culture of an organization.
Exactly.
Right? And then that seemed to resonate with you as you just described.
Well, it did. And that's the whole goal with organizational culture is get people to understand how it fits, all right, and what the organization is trying to be. And especially in those environments where it's, a data-driven, a high-risk industry where they're at risk of always being attacked, and they are daily. And the sophistication around those attacks, even today, how it's amplifying because of AI and how everything looks so real. And that's where that came from. It's like, oh, now I see, or the question in my mind was, well, what if cybersecurity was a core value? And how do we develop, that's what we do, is develop organizations, a leadership team around core values. Yeah. And that drives them. A lot of times those core values are often overlooked for how powerful they are.
And that's what I thought was so special about the write-up that you shared with me. You took this thought that you had and you went and you worked on putting those ideas into language. And then you shared that with me. And it was so strong at instilling the message of the impact of integrating this into the core value, right? So for me, it took it from this conversation around culture, right? And then realizing that translates into core values, right?
Yes.
And then taking it to the phrase that I love, which is developing that psychological contract.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was great about the discovery that we had together, just sitting down and working, talking about it, because that fits in what we do. So when we go in and work with an organization, it's not just, okay, here's your core values. It's, yes, what are your core values? What do they need to be? And then how do we develop the leadership at the personal, team, and organizational levels to embrace and model those behaviors? And those are leadership skills. It goes beyond leadership theory of team building and all of those things that we commonly just have people come in and work with organizations on. But this really drives those skills. And then when we do that and we land on it as a core value, the goal is, because we embed that in the culture of the organization, that then it just becomes that psychological contract here. And you shared a story of way back when you first started about how that actually happened. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what resonated with me about your business model and teaching, leadership, the strategy of introducing core values. It took me back to the start of my career when I was recruited to the Silicon Valley by an IT outsourcing organization. And one of the things that really helped shape my work ethic, aligned with my own inherent style, was a set of core values that they had defined. And some of the things that we've talked about since then have also resonated in the sense that these were not just core values for the sake of core values, but they were lived by the leadership team. And they demonstrated those core values. And so, and another thing that you mentioned is, recognizing folks, and we can talk a little bit about how recognition can be done, not just through awards, but I always think back to the awards, the first set of awards that I did receive in my career from that organization. Had mapped to the core values, what you've demonstrated in your work that aligns with their core values, and they would assign those out to folks. And so now, all these 30 some years later, those first two awards are right behind me in my desk in the office. So every time I'm on a call, it's prominent above my head, and it's a reminder of like how I still to this day bring those core values to the table.
That's fantastic. And isn't that something, just earlier today I had a meeting, and one of the first people I met talked about, the guy's my age, and he talked about a manager that he had at Wendy's and how he instilled work ethic and his leadership, what we call the everyday leadership, and how that impacted him throughout his entire life. Even when things that he learned from that leader, he used when he went into the Marine Corps. Yeah. And we all know the Marine Corps is very high and tight, and it's all about core values, and it's all about the core. Right. And he used some of those. So it's important. Leadership is important. And that's is a great example of living the core values, modeling the behaviors, and recognizing your people when they demonstrate that desired behaviors.
Right. And I think one important part about leadership, leadership beyond the title, right? So it's not just the C-suite that demonstrates this leadership, right? Right. That walks the walk. Any role that you're in, you can demonstrate these leadership skill sets.
Oh, absolutely. You just described it perfectly. Yeah. Personal leadership. Everybody that you and I, everybody in our team, everybody in our organization has to start with personal leadership. Am I going to be part of this organization? I have my own core values, and that's part of selecting the right place to work. Do my core values align with this organization's core values? And it clearly, for you, it resonated, and it's been a part of your work values ever since. So that's the importance of that's what we do is help draw those lines, connect those dots, if you will. When you do that, it decreases tension within the organization. It increases accountability, and it increases engagement because everybody knows what the expectation is. Yeah. And then the leaders have to model the behavior and sometimes pull the reins in when we need, which brings us to a really good point. So let's talk about cybersecurity as a leadership mindset. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think we talked about this before for this meeting. And so one of the things we talked about was kind of leadership with purpose.
Yes.
Right. Helping the team understand the kind of the overall impact, the mission of the organization. Now, what are the underlying drivers of having this type of mindset with a cybersecurity focus?
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the importance of that? Because it's something you said, and it's like, that's how it fits. To me, it was when you said, we're not protecting data, we're protecting people.
Yeah.
And I'm all about the people side of things.
Right.
And that really resonated. I think that was the part that really got me, okay, let's take a deeper dive into this and see what we come up with. And you're right. We're protecting people, people within the organization, our clients, and their clients, because one of the things we talked about is how easily that breach can be systemic across all, not just our organization, but other organizations. And that's why it's, to me, it resonates well as a core value. Just like in some organizations, safety above all. That's important, especially in construction, high-risk industries, aviation, petrochemical, hospitals, healthcare. Those are high-risk industries, not only for the clients or the people deliverable, but also with the data and how important that is. So I see it as safety and security. The cybersecurity is being just part of that as well.
Yeah, I think it's right. It's all comes back to the people in terms of the data protection. And I think leadership is about the people simultaneously. So that's why there's a lot of synergy across all of these concepts within leadership. And introducing cybersecurity as part of the culture, it all aligns with the bottom line, which is the people of the organization.
That's right. And that's how the work of the organization gets done. You take people out of it. Unless it's totally driven by AI. We're not there yet, but at that point, somebody's using the AI, right? So it's always about the people. It's about the relationships, and it's about the developing that relationship and the importance of why are these values so important to us? Yeah. And today, especially in today's day and age, you can't. I mean, I see it all the time. I'm sure you have a ton of this in your inbox of breaches that have caused problems with organizations. And I read one just today, a large national chain. If I said the name, everybody would recognize it, and how it has impacted their stock dramatically because the consumers lost confidence in their organization. Yeah. So the rebuild's going to be tough.
Yeah, there's so many examples, and kind of circling back to that cybersecurity leadership as a mindset. You know, one of the key aspects of that, or one of the themes, is empowerment and enablement. I think as leaders, you know, we have an obligation to remove barriers for our team members, and so that can be through identifying, you know, challenges that they're experiencing in the office, upskills that are needed, but also in terms of empowerment, it's important to trust our team members to make critical decisions, and that's really key when it comes to the cybersecurity world in general.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And when we work with organizations on trust, because it's paramount in every relationship, right? Not only within the organization, but with your clients, with your customers. And you have to build that level of trust. And trust is found around three key things. It is the competency, right? Skill competency, compassion, right? How am I treating those within and without of my organization? And then integrity. How are we responding with integrity? We talked a little bit about that because that leads to psychological safety. So if you got somebody in your team and they may have clicked on something, and the natural reaction is, uh-oh, and don't say anything. Well, the integrity model is, hey, I clicked on something. I don't think it might be a fish. It might be something. I better take that next step, whatever that is in your system's processes. Can you take us through a little bit about that as far as what that next step might look like for an organization?
Well, yeah, I think what we've done here is kind of naturally segued into the other key topic we were going to discuss, which is building a culture of trust and resilience.
Yes.
Right? So trust is basically the bottom line when it comes down